When you say 5G, when you say 4G, 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, whatever, they work on certain standards. We are part of 6G. We are involved in making of 6G standards. Startup, deep tech startup. The more deep tech you open, the more money hungry that company is. Maybe that startup may become a liability on you, on your pocket, if you're not being careful. I alone cannot do anything. I need to have good team with whom my frequency matches.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another podcast from onRec, the official podcasting club of IIT Roorkee. Today, we have Dr. Ekant Sharma, the founder of Mantiswave Networks, with us. Mantiswave is currently aiming to revolutionize the private 5G technology in the country. Ekant Sharma is also an assistant professor in electronics and communication departments of IIT Roorkee. So, hello, sir.
Hello.
You did your master's and doctorate from IIT Kanpur. So your experiences and research experiences of IIT Kanpur, how did they shape your research interest and your career?
See, if I'll start with my master's, right? Before master's, if I go back to BTech, so I did my bachelor from Chhattisgarh University, College of Engineering. So how it happens, right? When you're doing BTech, you don't have any idea what research is. You have no idea, like research, spelling only we know. Other than that, nothing we know. So now when we went to MTech, there's always, when you come from a private college to an IIT kind of place, there's always a huge difference in the kind of study, that kind of subject that we take. So when we came here, the first year was like just night out studying and all those things. Second year is where you get exposed to research, because second year masters is somewhere we have to do research. Full 2 semester, it's only on research, and you have to defend. In Kanpur, it is like you have to defend your research, what you have done in the form of in the front of committee. So there we got exposed to research thanks to my supervisor. He had some projects from DRDO. So when you work on a real project, then you get exposure, right? So he had some project where he was working. Then he gave me. I asked him, can I work on that project? So he said, okay, fine. So I got an first project on my master was mainly on a DRDO project only. So from there I started to get some idea, okay, how exactly real stuff works, and how exactly if you just do a theoretical research or something that way. From there I got exposure during my MTech. Then after MTech, in between I went like how we, right, as a master, as a bachelor, our main aim is to get placed. So I got into IBM. I was there in IBM for 1 year, but I was not enjoying. It's not, IBM is not a good company. IBM is a kind of very well established, very nice company, but the kind of work there was happening, it was not touching to me where I exactly wanted to in long term. So I resigned. Then in between 1 or 2 years, I had some entrepreneurship kind of skills from beforehand only. So we opened some other ventures with my friends. Then after 2 years, I thought, okay, things are not working. Let me go for higher studies. So then in 2014, I joined my PhD. Doing research as a BTech final year student or as research as a master's student, and doing research as a PhD student is very different. As a PhD, you're not thinking to crack something for next year. You're thinking that at the end of 5 years, when you're getting a degree, the work that you're doing should be out. Means it should not be something you feel, okay, what is this? Because at the end of 5 years, so you need to think about after 5 years, which work will be relevant to the field, to the society, or to the interviewer, mainly to the interviewer. At the end of 5 years, also, once again, it's all about placement.
Yeah.
So over 1 or 2 years, we struggled. I struggled a lot, mostly because of the lack of relevant problem in hand. Because then somehow, as a PhD student, I always tell kids, don't just flow like without thinking too much. Sometimes it happens, students just try to spend their 5 years thinking that at the end of 5 years you'll get a degree and we'll go away. That is the worst thing to do. Don't spend your time, utilize your time. Same thing happened. 1 year, 2 year went. I was not happy. I was doing research, but it was not kind of research which would take me to the like where I am right now. So then suddenly, because sometimes happen the frequency is like that, we don't get actual exposure what exactly it should be and what I am doing. Then one new faculty joined there. Then I collaborated with him. Then over time I got to know that that new stuff, because he was a new faculty, he had new ideas. So when I went started working with him with new ideas, then I also got interest, because it's sometimes it's like old ideas, boring topics. Sometimes it happens, right? New ideas, new perspective. You can have new perspective. So we always call it in research area low hanging fruits, which are new things that may not be difficult, but that has not been solved. So that gives you a hands-on or first hand to solve those problems. That is always good. So with that faculty, I started solving problem, and then I asked him to become my co-supervisor. So you can say there, for me, the research point of view, game changed. Then I went into, there was some project on with my supervisor. The final year he had nice project. He gave me opportunity to work on that project. From there, I got the exposure of hardware, because when you say my startup is a hardware related startup. Sometimes what happens, people just open startup and then they keep all the equity with themselves. Okay. Then startup, that equity has no value. 100% equity I have, but that startup is doing zero business, then equity has, that 100% has zero value. Our idea was, we are not worried about equity. We have, like right now, 4 people who all have 25% equity. The reason was everyone should own it, that what they're doing is theirs, and companies should grow. And that is why in last 1 year we have achieved what we have never would have thought. Till now we have 1 crore plus fundings. We have got 2-3 awards. We have sold 1 product.
So you told us as to how you finally fixated yourself onto a startup idea of
Yeah.
private 5G networks. But again, we don't really see a lot of startups in the country which are run by professors.
Correct.
And honestly, in India, startup culture is more about building a SaaS company or a software which is like a product. And I don't really see a lot of companies which come up with deep technology or some sort of research background. So what are your views on it?
See, why the question that you asked, why faculties are not having too many startups when compared to outside India? Exactly. One of the main reason is, in India there is no collaboration between industry and academia. Very rarely it happens. The reason being, there is resistance from both sides. Academia also have some resistance connecting with industry. They are always afraid that their ideas will be taken by industry. Industry also have same thing. India, actually, in last 1 decade, the things have changed. I can say that. Earlier it was very difficult to have a startup. I would have not seen many people having a startup here. But now the things have changed. The reason, first of all, government has allowed IIT faculties, first of all. They have, why I was allowed, because there is something called faculty entrepreneurship policy. Okay. It allowed me to be a part, to open a startup along with doing my job.
So continuing upon the point that you put on, that BTech students and PhD students too are more interested in placements rather than what they have worked upon.
Yeah.
So coming to the hardware sector that you mentioned, students who are studying electronics and communication, they are more interested into software in the current scenario.
Yeah.
So how do you think that this affects the hardware industry in India?
So I will say a general perception in not only this IIT, every IIT. Be it a civil engineer guy, be it an electrical engineering guy, be a computer science, everyone wants to do software job. Everyone. Civil guy, you bring chemical guy, anyone. Right? That is the trend right now. First semester, whatever course you take, you don't have interest in course, you know how to crack the. This is a trend, right? I'm saying. And I'm once again, this is not about IIT Roorkee, this is about all the IITs. The reason being, the money that these software companies bring at the time of placement.
That's a lot.
That is the thing. Parents are also, because as soon as they feel that my son or daughter is going to IIT, they just think, they not directly, indirect pressure from, okay, abhi to IIT ho gaya, you will get good placement. Exactly. And then as soon as you enter into IIT, you get to know that no, it's not like that. Only software companies are giving money, core companies are not giving money. So immediately you change your plan. Although before you feel that I will do this, I will do that, as soon as you enter, senior talk, junior talk, whatever happens, we have seen the trend. No one is interested in technical, like core. Then they are interested towards where there is more money. And that is, I'm not saying that is wrong, but that is happening. That is the reason at the end of 4th year, people have very little exposure on hardware side. They have more exposure to the software side. Everyone is coding Python, everybody is coding C, C++, everyone is working on front end, making Android apps, everything. CodeSafe, every profile, every resume that I see in IIT Roorkee, be it once again any department, you'll find CodeSafe and all those things. That is a trend, and that's what you said. Actually, that is the reason why what is happening in India. We are not able to make anything made in India, kind of.
Even I feel like the companies who even come for placement in our college or in many other colleges, they're mostly software.
Exactly.
I think Nvidia came recently for like 2-3 roles of hardware, or just one or two more companies. There were not even a handful.
Exactly. So the Nvidia comes. There is sometimes this Intel is there.
Yeah.
Okay. Few companies are there. It's not like that, but they're very few.
Exactly.
You can count in fingers. But software companies are in hundreds who come, right? And once again, sometimes this Nvidia, and they only hire one, or sometimes two.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't hire. Sometimes they say, like, for example, few companies come, they say, oh, we'll open for hardware, then they don't open.
So I think in startups mostly, or even in deep technology startups, you don't really see the money in the very first few
Obviously,
days.
see, whatever funding I have, if I'll give 20 lakh, 30 lakh to one guy, money is gone, right? And another thing is, although we say that startup, deep tech startup, the more deep tech you open, the more money hungry that company is. Okay, because you need to have hardware, you need to purchase hardware, and every hardware comes from outside India. Okay, we have to purchase, we have to give GST, we have to so many things. And another thing, like for example, I purchase a hardware. Okay, what happened within 1 or 2 weeks? Some issue happened in his switch. I know how to debug that switch. I have my CEO. He said, "Sir, I can correct that in 1 week of time, but I cannot touch it, because if I'll touch it, if I do something, then my warranty will be left." Now in India, they are not replacing it. They are saying they will have to send back to Malaysia. So 2 months it's just traveling. So my time, 2-3 months are wasted. There's trivial task, but if I touch it, once again, 17 lakh hardware, I don't want to touch it. Okay, but now just to correct that, they are not doing it in India. They are taking back to Malaysia. Now they have been telling that it will come. So you can say that time lag and all those things then kills the purpose. Few states are doing very good. Like for example, that is the reason why you are asking. We have our headquarter we register our company at Bangalore, because Bangalore has good startup culture. If I would have done it in Uttarakhand does not have that nice startup culture. So you need to also identify the place where you will get some support. Without support, we cannot grow. Government support in terms of funding, in terms of exposure, in terms of market, right? So many things. Then I opened another office here also. We are incubated Tides here. So we are incubated at IIT Innovation Center at Bangalore and also at Tides here.
Now, moving on to Mantiswave, can you please explain what Mantiswave exactly does and what kind of solution it offers in the telecommunication landscape?
Yeah. So just to explain, okay, everyone is using phone, right? And everyone has some net connected to some either Jio, Airtel, right? You have a SIM. Suppose let's say you have Vodafone SIM, you have Idea SIM. For example, Vodafone and then Jio and Airtel. We have a different separate SIM. We insert in our phone and then we get connected to the network. Same idea is with us also. We have a box, a simple box, which can create a network, and you can connect to your phone. We'll give you SIM. Let's say Mantis SIM. Okay, you just insert into your phone. You can connect to that box, okay, to that network, and then you can communicate within that. So one of the example is to create an intranet. Okay, so now you guys can talk to each other over voice call, over video call, whatever network, like what you do right now. That is one of the solutions. Another solution is if you have a backhaul connectivity, then you can connect between two networks. You can call from Mantis to Airtel and vice versa. Okay, that is a concept that is very popular nowadays in outside India. Okay, the reason being it's very secure kind of network. And that is why Army and Navy people are interested, or they are interested to create a secure network for themselves, so that no one is able to hack. One of the professor I was talking, he gave a nice. He was having some requirement. He said, "Okay, we do some work, okay, which is like for example, we do patents. Data is very important for us. Let's say we don't get connected to network. If suppose we get connected to network, there is a possibility that our data will be lost or it will go to public domain, and then we'll not be able to do patent. So in that kind of system, you can just take our box, you can create a network, and then data is just stored into that box. Okay. And that, like I was telling you, that this box we can add some feature we have now also of like software lock or hardware lock. No, if suppose someone takes that box, they cannot take the data, because they will have to have, suppose let's say hardware lock, they cannot open the hardware. As soon as they open, it will be locked. And similarly for software lock also, we have a password kind of thing. So those kind of additional features we have. So that's why, suppose let's say I have one more example I'll give you. You have Wi-Fi, right? You connect using Wi-Fi. Similarly, you can connect with our Wi-Fi. Yeah, obviously there is a trade-off. Wi-Fi is very cheap, but if you need more secure network, then you can go for this. This is one of the example, which is secure thing. Another example is like, for example, Industry 4.0. Okay, you need to collect information from hundreds of sensors. This industry, like for example, pharmaceutical or any company, where they need to collect temperature or different data from different nodes. So they can have they can place different sensors at different part of the building, and this box, using this box, they all will be connected, and those information can be collected, and we have created a nice dashboard where you can see the data in real time. So data is getting saved. Another example is that we are creating is using drone. Connect this box. This is a drone. Drone is 5G enabled. We'll have a drone connected to a 5G SIM. We have a module, and then that drone can be used for surveillance, anything. Now you can create any number of applications out of it. So those kind of things, application is there. Another thing is for research also, because I am coming from a research field. We know how we struggle. We do mostly theoretical analysis. As soon as we talk about hardware, right, hardware project, government is also very much pushing for hardware projects. They're saying, okay, research to bahut ho gaya. Now do something which will give you some output, a prototype at least from lab. For that you need hardware. So what we are pushing is, because we are completely 5G compliant, so you can use our box, and then you can create your own example on top of it, instead of building from scratch. Because if you build from scratch, then it takes time. So instead of you build from scratch, you take our solution, and then on top of it, you do research. There also we are helping. We have created so that I should tell or not, few in our lab also, right? Electronics lab. You guys are using what? Breadboard. Yeah. Breadboard were used almost 10 to 20 years before also. Okay. Right. So the labs have not got advanced. Still we are working on breadboard. Register you are saying, but when you see phone, do you see those things? No, right, but that's why we have to move on, right? Okay, 1 lab, 2 lab is enough, but we are doing 2-3 labs just based on breadboards and all those things. So for that, we have built some set of experiment, 10 to 14 experiments, so that if any institute purchases, we have sold it. That's why we are selling like that only, one of few products, where we are selling them this box with ready-made 10 to 14 experiments with manual, so that they get to know about what is 5G. Different experiment related to 5G, so that they can experiment in terms of coverage, in terms of number of antennas being active, in terms of transmit power. I'm just using a terminology that you may understand the broader public, but there are many things, core, RAN, and all those things. So those kind of experiment we have created such that our students get exposed to it. Right now that exposure is zero.
So I was reading a little about 5G networks, and I came to know that basically follows the cloud-based architecture. So I just
see, cloud-based, I would say, once again I'll explain you. You see a tower, right? Yeah. Okay, that is a radio head, radio unit we call it, remote radio head, for example. Now there's a phone connects to that remote radio head. That remote radio head some antenna. Okay, so now the information is collected, like the uplink side, let's say. We call it uplink when the mobile is transmitted to the base station, and downlink when base station is transmitted to the mobile. If I talk about uplink side, mobile is transmitting to the base station, let's say RRH, and RRH is collecting information. It is further transferring to connected to the distributed unit. Okay. There that cloud-based network comes.
All right.
Okay, but here it is a wireless network where this phone is uploading information or phone is downloading information from the base station, downlink. So base station is divided into multiple blocks. There are multiple architectures. There is something called ORAN, Open RAN. Okay, what is the concept behind Open RAN? I'll tell you. Right now, what happens? Ericsson. Okay, there are big entities who are handling everything. For example, they're handling the complete network, complete infrastructure. Okay, if anything happens, they are responsible. They will correct it. But because of that, what is happening? Because they are handling everything bottom to top. Small vendors are not able to enter. I'll give an analogy, okay, because then you will be able to understand. You have IMAX system. In IMAX system, everything, keyboard, mouse, everything has to be Apple one. Exactly. You cannot use anything else. right? So if something happen, you have to purchase from IMEC only, service center, everything is. Similarly, it is there with the current system, infrastructure. That's why startups are not able to come and take part in it. That's why in all over the world, there's very few companies, Huawei, Jetty, okay, like Nokia, Ericsson. They are only the people who are providing network. Airtel Jio are taking a service from them only. Okay, so they're very few and they're giants, and startups cannot compete with them because I cannot go and say that I can handle everything, because downtime should be almost zero. Okay. And so now what is the aim? That OpenRAN I was telling, right? OpenRAN, what they're saying now, take an analogy. We have a computer which is not iMac but any HP. They are compatible with anything, right? We take mouse and keyboard, mostly Logitech, right? Screen is depending on which company you want, which has 27-inch, depending on 32-inch. We don't care which company it is, right? Depending on who is providing good resolution. CPU is separate. Motherboard is like Intel. CPU also, anyway, motherboard is Intel. Fan is coming from somewhere. Everything you can just assemble.
Exactly.
That is how, because the reason is that is open.
It's kind of like a decentralized system.
Actually, open means their standards are open. The handshake happens very easily. Same kind of technology, same kind of thing people are trying with telecommunication. They're saying open this. So they are divided into remote RU, CU, DU kind of thing. Entire network they were divided into RU, CU, DU. RU is that you see on the tower. Then there is a distributed unit, then there is a centralized unit, and that is then connected to the core network, or you can say cloud and all those things. So that's why they're trying to decentralize such that as a startup, I can enter into any of the field. Now I can enter into RU. Like for example, why Logitech became famous? Because it concentrated on mouse and keyboard. Right? Most of the people are using that. Similarly, suppose let's say as a startup, I just focus on DU. I can enter. If I just want to focus on RU, I can enter. One different entity. You can assume that this is XYZ. But if suppose I'm asked to do everything, it will be difficult. But there is also practicality issues. Suppose let's say I am handling CU, DU, RU. If suppose some crash happens, I'll blame you, you'll blame him, you'll blame me. Right? And there is no time to blame there because downtime is almost zero. That is why that will take time to come actual on real life or real field. Ki, okay, people can use, suppose let's say Mantiswave RU, Reliance DU, and someone Jetty RU, CU kind of thing. Right? Because, but the idea has already started. People are working on it. Europe is very active onto it. Ki open the network. It should not be only with few players. It should be open for everyone.
So coming back to Mantiswave Networks and its products, recently there was a lot of buzz around the cybersecurity threats or even security issues related to telecommunication industry. So how does Mantiswave Networks tries or approaches at this sector and tries to solve the problem?
Exactly. So here only in cybersecurity, right? So those issues that happen, if you remember in India, all over the Europe, US, China was not affected. Mostly, largely China was not affected. Because we are connected to the network, and so they have an extra level of security maybe China. So similarly in our box that we are saying now, you are not connecting to the main network. Okay. It is your own network, so it will not impact your network, right? So suppose let's say if you are not connected, you have your own network here. Suppose this place you have your own network, you are not connected to the internet, then those attacks will not impact you, no? Exactly. That is what I was studying. That's why army, like I say, army and those people are interested, because you are creating a separate network, independent network, and now you can access that without any interference from the outside network. And multiple applications are there. Suppose let's say one of the applications you don't want to get interfered. You don't want large coverage. You just need a small coverage area. You need a small coverage to create a network so that only few people in this group or someone can connect to that network, and I'm not able to. In that way, no one is able to hack from distance. If your coverage is large, then your network is accessible for long distance, and anyone from outside can access that network and can hack it, like cybersecurity. But I'm creating a network which is of small coverage area. That's a possibility now with us. Depending on how exactly we change the configuration file, we can always create a large coverage area as well as smaller coverage area. Those kind of applications.
But doesn't it make it difficult to keep track of certain activities that shouldn't be done?
Yeah, true. That's right. So for our box, suppose industry 4.0 anyone, so you need to purchase a frequency spectrum. Okay, it's not like we can, because frequency is a scarce resource. It is sold by Indian government in crores and crores of rupees. You may see the news also, right? Every year it goes into auction, then Jio, Airtel, Vodafone Idea, they purchase the spectrum. So we work on certain frequency spectrum. Okay, and that frequency spectrum, suppose industry, but for research lab, for all those things, government is allowed to use it. Okay, but if it is used for a commercial application, then this frequency band has to be purchased from the Airtel, Jio, or whoever has that frequency spectrum. Then only. And since you are purchasing a frequency spectrum, whoever is purchasing, they get to know this guy who has purchased. So at least in some sense, there is some accountability that you can say.
So, like, how do you see the future of telecommunication in our country? Since we've been hearing about 6G technology for like a lot, I think as far as I remember, before even coming to college, we had this word in our head that we'll get 6G networks very soon. So, do you see India moving towards in that direction, or even Mantiswave network scaling itself into that field?
Yeah. So if I say two questions, okay. First, 6G. If you remember 4G, okay, 4G came very late in India, as when compared to other part of the world. Sorry. So 5G came almost, you can say almost 6 years afterwards. 2017 first trial happened. Okay. First trial happened. 2020, I think most of the countries got Europe. When I say most of the countries, developed countries. 2023 in India it got started to deploy. Okay. It's not complete. I'm saying started. 2020 it was all over the world. I think developed countries got this 5G network. 2023 India got. It was only 3 years. It is only actually in this time. Otherwise earlier the delay was very, very large. So this government tried, means I would not say this time it happened that we got 5G facility much faster. With 6G the aim is right now that we get 6G along with the other world. We should be able to install 6G network along with how exactly the developed countries would be doing. Okay, and that is the reason government and research institute, academics are doing extensive research in 6G area. And see, I'll tell you, only trouble that we have is we don't have too much say on the standards. When you say 5G, when you say 4G, 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, whatever, they work on certain standards, which is actually made by a body called 3GPP. Okay, which comprises of different, you can say, industry personals, academias, and all those people. Our involvement is very less in that, very, very less. So now suppose, let's say there's some standards that have been defined. So when I say standard, what happens? There's different algorithms, different, and every algorithm is patented. So when I say standard, when it becomes a part, any patent that is becoming a part of a standard. So whenever you are making a call, that revenue is going to that company, to that country. And I'm saying a company means via it is going to a company also, right? And that's why that company's economy is growing. With India, the problem is we don't have patents in this standard. We only have one patent, that or two recently. Okay, but we don't have many patents in 5G also. So now the government is trying in 6G at least we get enough number of patents such that we are part of 6G. We are involved in the making of 6G standards, as well as since we are involved, our patent goes there so that we also make revenue out of it and our economy gets boosted. Everyone is using phone. Okay, so that is how it is all connected. But once again, I'm saying to be a part of those 3GPP bodies, meetings, standardization activities, you need companies.
Why do you think like the number of patents are less in that?
It is not
particular
there.
field?
Number of patents which have gone into standards, they are less, I'm saying.
Okay.
So patents are there. Patent wise also we are very, very lacking. In general patent also. If you just go and search number of patents registered by other countries, China, US, Europe, other companies, and India, you're very much lacking. But in last decade, once again 5 to 6 years, we are doing good. The speed have increased. But that is general patent. But when we say standard essential patents mean the patents which goes into standards, cellular standard. So those are important. In that way, there is no patent, only one patent in sense. anything and everything people are calling as 6G now, because no one knows what exactly. So it is a dream period. 6G is for this, 6G can be this, 6G can be that. What exactly 6G will be decided by the after some time. The standard body that I said, they will be working on it. They'll say now from onwards, this will be called 6G, whichever satisfies this, whichever follows this standard. But right now, that's a golden period for research people to just imagine everything is 6G. As soon as that standard body sits and they start doing, we'll start talking about 7G. It's like that. As a researcher, it will go on 1000G. I always say we will go till infinite G, because 1G goes, next G, by default name comes 7G. No one stops also to wait. It has happened. Last time 5G was not at all there. People started talking about 6G. 5G was not rolled out. Still research papers started and they started talking about 6G. Similarly, I can tell you when 6G will not be rolled, people will start talking about 7G.
That's true.
But they are just keyword. I always say that they are just keyword, buzzword, just to impress the reviewers or as a research paper title you write 7G, but 6G. But what is the sense? You can just say that anything and you call it this is for 6G. No one can deny also, because it may be. No one can say okay, it cannot go into 6G. How can you? But that is just a keyword, buzz kind of thing. We don't know what exactly will go into 6G. It's probable technologies that may come into 6G. That is the idea.
Since we're talking about that, many things are associated with 6G nowadays. So there has been a fuss around use of federated learning in 6G. So can you elaborate upon that idea?
See, when you say federated learning, I should not say only federated learning. There are many techniques like related to AI, ML, and all those things, right? Where and mainly for wireless. Like I said, one of the what he says is AI for wireless. Okay, we also do research on that. So if we can use collect data, right, train it properly and use it on real time. Like for example, I'll give you an example. They said transmit power always. If we can use AI to optimize the transmit power in real time, that will always save your battery. With how much power you should receive or with how much power you are transmitting. Let's say mobile side, you're transmitting at certain power, right? If that can be optimized using AI, then you are saving your battery. Yes. So that's why AI will always help, because it's all about collecting data and understanding. It is like, I can say, one kind of optimization technique, right? Right. So it will always help. So that's why that is one of the key features that people are thinking about in 6G. Although they're calling it 6G right now, but that is already been last 4 to 5 years people are doing research. I'm in my lab also, my PhD student do that research on one of the example I said how to optimize the power. People were doing earlier also this kind of optimization, but with conventional mathematical approach. Now people are going to AI kind of approach where we can do it on real time by training, and then real time. I mean, real time happens, it's always good by understanding the network, because network changes a lot. So your AI algorithm can learn the network in real time, and you can adapt the transmit power. One of the example I said, and that is the main issue.
So what, according to you, are the steps that need to be taken so that we have our own startups that solve our own problems?
No, that step has already been taken. I would say the government has already taken steps. They are pouring money. It is not like they have not pouring money. Money is coming. Only thing is, it will take time for startup to grow further. Sometimes what happens, they pour some money, then they expect, okay, now we have given you money 1 year, now you give me output, otherwise we'll stop funding or will not have other funding. Then it is
mindset.
Exactly. You need to, suppose if you're supporting someone, don't support everyone, I would say. Support few people, or initially you support more, then in the second level you support few, so that there's a kind of pyramid kind of thing. Whoever is doing good, they go to the next level, they are supported. Sometimes happen, we are doing good, suppose someone is doing good, but if it's not been supported, then it will fall. It will fall, right? But support should be continuous, right?
So one thing that I was really startled and amazed about, that you had to go out of the way totally from your regular academic schedules and be a part of a whole new startup.
Yeah.
Getting an idea is again a very different thing, but building something on it, a product, as you said, you started last year in the month of October. It's not even been exactly a year.
Correct.
Before you already have it in the market. But you obviously would have faced a lot of challenges along the way.
Daily we face.
That's true. So if you want to highlight a few challenges so that we can also learn from them along the way.
Sure. See what happens now. When we are saying here also, right? We are saying we are opening a startup. Lots and lots of legalities are there. Even from the date that you register for a startup. Okay, you register for a startup, you need to be careful about every small thing because it is a legal entity. When you open a legal entity, every small law should be followed. And we have no idea about law. Frankly speaking, before we thought of starting a startup, we never knew, okay, this kind of, any agreement we sign, it has to be properly vetted because when you are taking money from somewhere, they will have their own consent. It may have become, maybe the startup may become a liability on you, on your pocket, if you are not being careful. I'm not talking about technicalities now, this is all legalities. We have signed agreements where the agreements are very, very tough. If something goes here where we are taking so much money, I have to pay. If suppose I don't go into those technicalities, I understand. People are there to take your equity. Legalities, so many laws are there. That's why first thing what we did as soon as we got is we hired CA. Because it's not our cup of tea. I don't want to invest my time into that only also. But still I cannot be 100% just leave it on to CA. We also have to get into discussions, understand. So that took time, but that is also a new learning for us. Last 1 year, I can tell you, I know too much thing about. I give some people also here free advice. When they say, okay, we want to start and start up, I just give them clear idea. Okay, this is also there. When you're getting a startup, you just need to think about these legalities also. Every day we have to fill TDS. Every month we have to fill TDS. Every month we have to fill DST form. Every month. So there are so many things. Apply for GST. Without GST, you cannot sell a product. Register for many things. Every month something happens. They say a transfer certificate. I cannot tell you. There are too many. So those kind of issues keeps on coming, and we are always worried we should not break any law.
Yeah, true.
Because we are doing something and then we have no idea about that law, and then we miss that, and then we are blamed for that. There's something called professional tax. We don't. Every state has different rules. Other thing is that Bangalore has separate rule. So CA, we need to make sure that CA understand that state rule. Sometimes you don't know why your applications are getting rejected. No idea. Luckily, we have got a good CA who is handling our company. But still, we are always been very careful. Make sure every small rules are followed, such that we are not violating any. Because most of the time it happens, people have open a startup, they have no idea what laws are, and if because we don't have money, they don't have CA or CA, then it creates a. And if you don't have CA, I have CA. My CA will always try to be beneficial to me, and he will make your life difficult. Okay? And he will make you sign on some papers, which will be tougher for you. And you sign it at that time thinking, okay, I'm getting money. I should not have money. Okay, ye sab to chodo paper. Money, okay, at that time you'll bring it, you'll use it on the startup. Later, suppose something happens, it becomes a liability for you for your lifetime. So you have to be careful about that, because we're not talking about 1,000, 1 lakh or 10 lakh, we're talking crores, right? So if we should be careful, I would say, because many people start and start up without thinking too much about legalities. So we too sometimes have seen that we just read every line, when the first agreement that I signed, I was very much worried, because I saw that what is this? CA also identified these all things they have said. I said, okay, he may have identified 10, maybe there will be 20. Right. So we read it very carefully. We took time. The funding, and he said, what are you doing? Why are you having so many meetings with us? He said, no, we have to be very, very careful. I've said very clearly, see, we are professors, we have no idea about this, we will take our time.
We are more from the engineering science background.
We don't know the legalities, and they had a big CS team. They used to come in 2 people, 3 people, and they have an idea how things happens. So, and we had no idea, so we have to be careful. We said we'll take time, multiple meetings, unless and until we are very clear, we'll not sign. Okay, you take your money, we don't want, but we have to be very clear. So we made sure that we have understood every law, everything from that, because that was the first agreement. So that it becomes easy for us in the second, third, fourth, fifth. Okay, we know. Now we know. Now we sign any agreement, we know. Like yesterday also we signed 2 agreements. It did not take too much time for me to read. Maybe half an hour, 1 hour, I just glanced, sorry, okay, this is fine, this is fine, this is not fine. Because we did the good amount of energy we took in the first agreement. Some people don't do it. When I ask them कि okay उसमें क्या अच्छा मैंने तो ध्यान नहीं दिया. Sometimes it is fine, but sometimes in worst case days of yours, some companies comes and it will create a problem. So make sure legalities are taken care of.
Yeah, we definitely know about that, the startup culture in our country. We need a lot of boost in terms of, getting some money and finances into research so that we can also move in that direction. Talking about me as a student, I have also had an ingrained interest in research, but looking at other people, the peer pressure, it kind of gets you into the rat race of placement and internships in various companies, and obviously the bountiful amount of money that you discussed with us. So any 5 advices from your entire journey? I think it was pretty revolutionizing the entire life. So any 5 major advices for us students who want to become entrepreneurs or even want to be in the field of research?
See, if suppose you want to focus on your research, do not worry about what others are doing. First of all, that is the first thing. Like I said, what you said exactly. I also started with that only. People are going into rat race. What others are doing, you are also doing. If you're focused on research, just think that okay, I want to do this, irrespective of what others are doing. Your research needs focus. Without focus, you cannot do it. If you just take an example, I'll just add it here. Very rare percentage of BTech students are going for higher studies outside. That is the main reason why people are not going, because they're not actively participating in such. Right? Other institute will go. Everyone is BTechs are the core. Most of the good research is done by BTech. Here it is not happening. So you have to be focused. You don't have to worry too much about placement and all those things. If you can do this, I think research you can do. That is the main thing. Another thing is keep connected to the technology. Technology is changing daily. Okay, if you feel that first year when you come here, I want to do research on this area. The third year when you'll go, that research area would have already been saturated. Exactly. The technology is changing super fast at this point of time. The reason being the number of people doing those research have increased all over the world. It's not only, we are not competing with Indian university. You are not competing to people within IIT Roorkee or within IITs in India or within institute in India. I alone cannot do anything. Exactly. I need to have good team with whom my frequency matches. Plus, the other people should feel ownership. It should not be okay, Professor Ekant Startup. It should be the people who are working on it. They should have some equity, and they should at least the starting 1 or 2 year. Then the people will come and go. That is fine. But the initial 1 or 2 year is something where everyone should own. Okay, anything happens, good happens, everyone takes it on their chin. Okay, yeah, we have got it, and something bad happens, then everyone should be like sad. Okay, what happened? That kind of feeling should be right. It should not be I am an employee. Why should I care? I'll go to the next place.
Thank you so much, sir. It was great interacting with you. We discussed a lot about the future of telecommunication, Mantiswave networks, and the products that it offers. And most importantly, advice to us young people looking forward in the field of research, entrepreneurship, and deep technology startups. Thank you so much, sir. I hope you had a great time.
Yeah, it was really like, it did not feel like we had an interview. So just a discussion we three had.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.